Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to this virtual edition of the Walking Strong podcast with Bill Armstrong right here.
Hey.
Looking good. I'm Billy Embody. Bill, quite the game last week. SMU covers. They beat ECU, but even better news.
Let's just say it's a win, okay? I mean, there's some haters out there on the blogosphere. Guys, we won on the road against a conference opponent that historically has kicked our ass in Greenville or whatever town that was in North Carolina. So anyway, it wasn't ugly. But before we talk about the game, let me talk about the wine that we're pouring today. So those of you who have the Pony Express, there you go. It is the York Mountain Epoch Grenache. Perfect. Thank you for showing that, Billy. You're probably wondering, Billy, why did I pick Grenache for Philadelphia?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I can't wait to hear that. There's got to be a play on words coming here. I don't know.
No, it's not a play on words. But hey, for those of you who don't drink wine a lot, and I'm assuming that a lot of people that are out there don't, the most planted grape on the planet is Grenache. And it is such a beautiful, subtle, sophisticated wine when it's done right, that it is gorgeous. And so I think of love every time I drink Grenache. And so what do they name Philadelphia?
City of Brotherly Love.
There you go.
Beautiful.
There's my connection.
There it is.
So we're having love in a glass. You could actually look at it if this was a person. This would be a young ingenue that is absolutely gorgeous and subtle and sublime and completely seductive. And damn, this wine, by the way, got 97-point rating. And a couple of people asked me about this podcast and says, "What's your rating?" Well, the rating for wine goes from 0 to 100. Most winemakers in their career rarely get above 90. Most never get above 95. This here is a 97. So if you bought the Pony Express case from us, the one we were talking about earlier, and you went down to 12 wines in there, they're all above 90. Almost all are above 95. I do think it's the highest rated 12-pack of different wines from one producer ever assembled in the history of winedom, if winedom is a thing. We're not talking about wining like TCU wines, but wine, W-I-N-E. So there you go. That's the wine. By the way, if you ever want to have love in a glass and you want to really impress your date or your wife or your significant other, let's be real, you like giving chocolate, nothing in the world pairs better with chocolate than Grenache. There you go. I am just dumping knowledge. Am I
yes.
Not? Just dumping
it. SMU dealt some knowledge, some defensive knowledge in particular at East Carolina. 11 of the 15 drives for the Pirates ended in 3 plays or less. 2 of those 11 ending in a fumble and an interception return for a touchdown by Jonathan McGill. It was ugly offensively after the first 2 touchdowns. It ended on a positive note with R.J. Maryland. But
by the way, remember what I texted you in the first quarter? I said this is going to be Preston's breakout game. He already had 2 touchdowns, just dropping dimes on those first 2 touchdowns he threw in the first quarter. I'm thinking he's going to break out for a 5-6 touchdown game today. And then they just ran into a wall, and really from the end of the first quarter all the way to the fourth quarter. And it was frustrating. It was frustrating to watch. I don't know. I was with a group of people, and I was screaming the F-bomb so loudly at the television set that I was afraid my wife was going to come in and call the cops or something.
She was going to send you to the recruiting lounge.
He's not that bad. But our defense is legit. I mean, it's legit. By the way, that strip that Kobe did of that runner, damn. I think that was really the kind of the breaker in the game for us.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so beautiful. And by the way, I didn't think we were going to get that call. they had to play it back on replay time and time again. It was close.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that close of a call, but you're on the road. You never know if they already made the call on the field. Blah, because they didn't call a fumble on the field. They called it
correct.
down.
Yeah. All of a sudden, they were buzzing down for it, and I was like, "Oh, is this targeting or something?" No. I mean, that was a heck of a play, and I think the defense has been a huge bright spot, and Rhett Lashley said it after the game. Defense travels, which SMU has not been able to say for, any time recently. And, the offense, it's apparent there are some things that have to be cleaned up, changed, whatever approach they need to take with it. But ECU is actually a top 35 defense in total yardage. I looked it up after the game. Obviously, they got helped by that game, but they're a good defense that has, people complain about, SMU fans, I should say, complain about how the offense has been this year. ECU's offense might be the most inept offensive team I've seen this year, and SMU beat Louisiana Tech, 31-7 or whatever it was, I think is what that finished. So, this is a defense that gets zero help, getting off the field and all of those things. And so I think to go on the road and cover against, I thought it had trap game written all over it, but they would still find a way because ECU can't score, which is basically what ended up happening.
Let's go back to SMU history, man. There's been a lot of go against teams that can't score, that score a shitload against us. I mean, let's face it. So I get exactly what you're saying, and I'm super frustrated with our offense, but they do have a good defense. And let's face it, Preston, still not the Preston I want him to become, but he had 275 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and no picks?
Yep.
That's okay. I'm not saying that's just world beating, but on the end of the day, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. We have no turnovers on offense.
Yep.
Remember how I was bragging on our running game last week on our podcast?
Yeah.
We couldn't run it at all. It was amazing. It just shut us down. Shocking, actually.
Yeah, that was probably the most shocking thing of the game for me because, when you look at this offense and Preston is not turning it over at critical moments, if you can take that game that he had, obviously you'd like him to hit a couple more throws, but if you take that game he had and you insert the run game that has, for the most part, been with the Mustangs this season, you're looking at an offense that is pretty scary. And I think they can get back to that this week at Temple. That's a Temple team that came down to UNT and just got destroyed and couldn't move the ball against a terrible defense at North Texas. So maybe they find their footing this week.
Interesting. I like our chances this week. Before we leave the ECU game, what is it about always trying to throw the ball deep? What are we doing there? We need to figure out a way to start doing that slant, a little flare out pattern, some hooks. You know what Preston reminds me of right now? If you're a golfer, he reminds me of the golfer that is scared to death to hit a 60-yard wedge, but he'd rather hit a full 7-iron into the green. It's almost like he is like a lot of times he throws that short pass and he skips it or he kind of clutches it. And I just think he's lost his confidence on the short ball, so he just airs it out. And by the way, some of the worst calls I've ever seen, their defense was assaulting our wide receivers. Nuts. That one over the middle, it was to
Jake Bailey. Yeah.
They grabbed his one arm and pinned it to his side. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. And that's one thing where it's frustrating too, because Preston, I think, ended up completing 6 of 19 deep balls, which is one pretty crazy on 19 of them that went farther than 15 yards. But they didn't get, I don't think they got a defensive pass interference. Somebody will probably correct me in the comments, but I can't remember one. I really can't.
We had a couple on us that it could have been called, I think.
Yes. Yep.
We were aggressive too. So they were letting them play, as they say.
I think two penalties for 20 yards is what I think SMU ended with, because they got the Charles Woods defense pass interference late, which he was kind of getting away with some early, and then I think there was a false start early. So SMU's been playing good football. It's just not it's not clicking to that insane explosive level offensively right now. And I agree with you. If you were down there in Greenville, you would have seen at the end of the game Rhett Lashley go absolutely nuts in a good way for Preston Stone hitting that check down that basically iced the game to LJ Johnson. And just talking with Casey Woods about it today, he was like, yeah, that's what we want him to continue to work in this entire offense. And when he does things like that, that helps him with the deep ball, which he loves to throw.
Yeah, I know. I feel like he's trying to Johnny Manziel it a little too much, where he just tries to, scramble around and make that big play, which is all real exciting. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is getting like $300 million to throw a 10-yard pass on most of his throws. I mean, let's face it. So Preston can learn from that. Just like, okay, the check downs, 5 yards, 10 yards. I remember the play you're talking about, the LJ. That was an important play. And again, it was just one of those things that we could do. I would like to think a lot more of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And they should be able to against Temple, who played North Texas this past week and lost by 30 or so. And this is a Temple team.
Temple's normally tough, and they're kind of like not the city of brotherly love. I mean, they're just a really rowdy group, and that's amazing.
Yeah, they sit right now at 2-5 overall. So they play. They have a bye, or they do not have a bye. I guess they've already. Well, I guess I'm bad at math, so that's one thing. But
sports, man. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So they sit at 2-5 overall on the season. This is a Temple team that is got the potential to be with a backup quarterback. SMU is 18.5-point favorites. They were 12 on the road at East Carolina.
The line is 18.5. Okay. On the road, 18.5.
On the road, 18.5. They've got blown out by Tulsa. They've gotten blown out by North Texas. They're in a bad way right now. And I think we could see I think this is finally the game SMU puts up 45 solid points.
Right. Well, I love it. Well, I'm not going to give you a prediction. I'm going to ask my friend, the Temple Owl, who lives right next door to me. So I'm going to ask him who he predicts, okay? Who?
What are you going to tell?
Sorry. Is that the cheapest joke? Maybe the cheapest joke.
Yeah, I think it is. Who? What are you now? Yeah.
All right. Anyway, the Owl says 24 SMU.
24 points?
No, 24. SMU by 24.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, wow, that Owl has had how many bottles of the Grenache? I think that's a good spread. I think they cover, and then you can you get into homecoming week, which is a good segue as well, because we have a massive event on homecoming week for our On the Pony Express subscribers. And so I'm going to share this for you guys on the screen. I know it'll kind of show up a little bit maybe different or whatever than it should, but this is the On the Pony Express happy hour at Armstrong Fieldhouse with Epic Wines, 5:30 to 7. If you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you can actually scan that QR code and sign up. Space is limited. The event is complimentary to subscribers and guests. It'll be Wednesday, October 25th, 5:30 to 7. So kind of a kickoff in your house, so to speak, for homecoming week, where we're going to record a podcast, taste some wine, and just enjoy. This is going to be awesome.
It's going to be fun. So it's the first ever, and hopefully it'll be the first of many. But first ever, I've got my team coming down from California to pour the wines. It's going to be some of the best wines you've ever had. It's a great setting. If you've never been to Armstrong Fieldhouse, it is a dynamite facility. And great wines, and sign up. I mean, free wine. Who can beat that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And chop it up with you. Somebody on the board was mentioning how not only can they not wait to try the wine, but they also get to see the man. Will the Temple Owl be joining us after that game?
Temple Owl doesn't leave the ranch, so Temple I could supposedly talk him into showing up. I suppose after the big loss against Temple, he may not want to show his face.
Probably not. Probably not. But what an event that's going to be. It's going to be a lot of fun to do it in front of a live audience. We've done some virtual ones. We've done some in-person ones with just you and I. But now, I mean, not only the pressure of, just doing a podcast episode like normal, but we get the live crowd too. This is going to be incredible.
I love it. I mean, I'm not sure I'm ready for prime time yet, but what the heck? Let's try it.
Yeah.
Believe me. So anyway, no, it'll be a blast. And like space is limited because that recruiting lounge that we're in it doesn't have just that much space. So make sure that you sign up so you don't get left out.
Yes. Details at ontheponyexpress.com. There is a pinned thread on the message board with the details, the time, the date, the location, and the sign up link. Please sign up. And if you guys have people who aren't subscribed to ontheponyexpress.com, tell them this is that opportunity. Subscribe for just $1, and then you get to do this complimentary tasting with Epic Wine. So we're pumped. This is going to be great.
No, it's going to be awesome. Yep. We need to get you to have more and more subscribers so we can do more of these kind of things.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. So, Bill, thank you for putting that together. I'm excited about it. I know the Epic team is coming back to Dallas. They've done some tasting is in the area. I think they've got some on Tuesday and Thursday as well, I believe. So check those out at epicwines.com. You can find more information on that and the Pony Express case. For Bill Armstrong, Bill, another fun one. Hopefully next week coming back live. We'll do this live. I can't even say, okay, we've got next week's episode. No, we've got a live podcast Wednesday, October 25th at 5:30 p.m. From 5:30 to 7, we're going to taste Epic Wine. We're going to do a live podcast recording at Armstrong Fieldhouse. So subscribe on the Pony Express.
Where do they park on that? Do they park at in Meadows and in McIlvainy? Where do they park?
So I think parking after 5, they're good. I'll double check on that, but I think they can just park wherever because I think Park and Pony, unless it's like it says explicitly like 24 hours, for faculty or something. But I think Binkley Garage is probably the best, right next to Armstrong Fieldhouse. But we're going to enter at the Boulevard side entrance.
Right. On Bishop.
Yep. So
Great.
Looking forward to that. It's going to be a blast, and hopefully we've got another SMU win to talk about.
That'd be great. You know what? Would be 5-2 at that point, right?
Yes.
And it's looking good in the American. By the way, I was really excited to see Tulane beat Memphis.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of SMU fans would much rather attend a game in Dallas or go down to New Orleans in the first weekend of December. I know you would have no issue with either in a way.
My wife's from New Orleans, so we got a place there, so we love it.
Yes, exactly. So another thing to look forward to potentially for SMU. Elijah Chapman talking about it after the game last week. He was there. This team is laser focused. I'll give them that. It might not be as pretty at times, but they are focused on one thing and one thing only, and it's winning a championship.
Just win, baby.
Yep. So that's it. So just win. If you win, you deserve it. If you lose, you need it. So Bill, thanks as always for joining us on the Walking Strong episode of the On the Pony Express podcast. So we'll be back next week live with Bill at the Armstrong Fieldhouse. For Bill, I'm Billy. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Everybody. Thank you. Go Mustangs.